Welcome into the I-80 club at the half. The man who's shaking his head is Ravi Lulla. Josh Peterson, it's 0-0. One of the most disgusting halves of football, if not the most disgusting half of football that I have ever seen. Stumanji with the halftime numbers, 26 pass plays, 12 run plays, 9 running back carries for 19 yards. Ravi Lulla, what the hell was that?
It was one of the worst halves of football I've seen in a while. I mean, well, okay. You know what's kind of funny is, Nebraska's kind of kicking their ass.
They are.
That's the worst part about it, is Nebraska's sort of kicking their ass. They've got over 200 yards of total offense. Purdue has 90, right? Yep. Purdue's on pace for 180 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
They're averaging less than 3 yards a carry. Nebraska's kicking their ass. They just can't convert on third down or even get a field goal past the line of scrimmage. So that's a problem. But that's the worst part is Nebraska's beating the hell out of them and they don't have any points.
No, it is horrible. And Husker says something that I maybe can lead into a discussion, Ravi. Time to lose faith in these coaches, IMO. I think the thing that is perhaps bumming me out the most right now is that it does not look like a well-coached football team. It does not look like a well-coached football. I mean, how many penalties do they have? How many dumb situations do they have? And look, there's the touchdown, of course, where there's an obvious miscall by the referees. No one is going to argue that. But this does not look like a good football team. It does not look like a prepared football team whatsoever.
I mean, so they have 5 penalties.
Yeah.
They have 4 real penalties because the one on Fedoni is
horrible.
Just laughably bad, right? So I'm not even counting that one. That puts them at 4 penalties for 24 yards. Are the false starts on the offense inexcusable? Absolutely. But outside of that, I don't really know what we're talking about with the penalties, right? Purdue cannot stop defensive pass interfering. I get that. But are there certain coaches that I'm hey, probably need to lose faith in them? Looking at you, Foley, yes.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I'm really struggling. Maybe we could get on Barthel a little bit if he's in charge of the running back rotation. I think we need to see a little Emmett Johnson in our lives, because I don't know.
One Emmett Johnson carry for 4 yards, and I know that's not a whole lot. He did have that catch for 14 though. I would love to see a little bit more Emmett Johnson.
So if EJ Barthel is in charge of the running back rotation, maybe we can have some questions about him, but. I mean, Nebraska's moving the ball. I know people don't like Satterfield, and that's fine. And I'm not sold on him, right? But Nebraska's moving the ball. They aren't converting on third down.
They're now 0 for 6 on third downs.
But how many times did they get inside the Purdue 35? They're moving the ball. They just can't get any points.
So John had a stat, and this was before the final drive, but he said if you take out the kneel down at the end of regulation of the Illinois game, Nebraska's last 7, so it's now 8 drives, all drove inside the opponent's 40 or started inside the opponent's 40, 0 points.
Yeah, which is terrible,
they have
right?
gotten down there so many times.
And if you want to put the lack of scoring on Satterfield, that's fine, but then you have to put the moving the ball on Satterfield too. Both of them, he's equally responsible for both of them if that's the game we're playing, right? So however you want to dice that up, that's fine, but you can't tell me they're not scoring, but then not tell, but it doesn't count that they actually got in position to score though too, right?
So we got a lot of comments. A lot of comments coming in from our subscribers, patreon.com/ID Club. If you would like to join the chat, Stumanji with a drive chart. Here's the yard lines that they have finished the drives on, by the way. 21, 25, 34, 24, 23, 23, 38, and 14. Missed field goal, turnover on downs, missed field goal, punt, blocked field goal, punt, and blocked field goal. D'Lo with the thing, though, that I know is my obvious takeaway right now, and that's they can't run the ball on the worst running D in America. Speak to this. We spent so much time talking about that this morning. They have to be able to run the ball against the worst rush defense, not bar none. They are among the worst rush defenses in the entire country. They've given up 700-plus yards in the last 2 games combined. Outside of the sack on Dylan Raiola, 12 rushes for 57 yards. It is absolutely atrocious. And that's counting, Ravi, the Barney carries, which were 2 for 38. So again, you look at the running back situation, it is a tire fire right now in terms of running the football. They are unable to run the football, and that is going to be, I mean, if you can't do it in this game, Robbie, I just don't know how I'm going to expect this team to win football games moving forward the rest of the year.
I mean, I agree that the running game is bad, but like the rest of the runs count too, right? Most of the runs, we talked about this all week, right? Most of the runs against Purdue were quarterback run game. Like that's where they got gashed. So it shouldn't surprise us that non-traditional run games, what's worked against Purdue in terms of the Barney runs, right? And then you had a little pop pass. I don't remember who that might have been to Barney as well.
Yeah, that was a pass.
They count as a run that you can add that to those totals as well, because that's basically what that is. I wasn't expecting the traditional run game to go well against Purdue. Would it be nice if you could just line up and run over Purdue? 100%. But Nebraska, I think, needs to lean more into some of that non-traditional run game because that's been super successful against Purdue. And if you want to put that on Satterfield, 100%. I can live with that because.
Why, you don't think the run game is a concern right now? I mean, it's only two carries with Barney.
No, I get that. It's a concern, but like they've had success doing things and they're not doing those things enough, right? Like, why would you go away from the jet sweeps and the pop passes and things like that when you're just gashing Purdue that way? And if you want to put that on Satterfield, I totally understand that.
Yeah, Corny says the Mickey Mouse BS play calls count, but they show that our OC doesn't think we can line up and get three yards. There's a little confusion at the end of this message, but basically that they can't pick up.
You can't line up and rush. Yeah, you can't line up and run. Yeah, and that's a huge concern. Don't get me wrong, that is.
Yeah, D'Lo says, Ravi, you don't find it concerning Nebraska needs to go to non-traditional run game to run on the worst defense in America. Yeah, I'll disagree with you, man. Like, this is, like, you're right. Like, hey, do the things that work, but I also don't think that doing, Mickey Mouse pop pass stuff and Ja'Cory Barney end arounds is going to continue to work. If they went to that well over and over and over, I don't think that would be a positive for the offense. I think eventually there would be diminishing returns.
I mean, eventually there's diminishing returns, but those diminishing returns are generally because a defense makes an adjustment. And then theoretically, you should be able to have more traditional run game. Like, I think what we want as a fan base is to be able to use the run game to set up everything else that they do. I think the reality of this particular team is they need to do everything else to set up the run game, right? We don't like the order of operations, but we haven't tried it that way for an extended period of time yet. And I think, like, if you can stretch the field laterally, this is the Oregon offense at its core, right? The old school Oregon offense. If you can stretch the field laterally, then you can run up the middle. Nebraska is just not good enough to run up the middle right now on its own. Like, you have to spread the defense first. And that is concerning. Don't get me wrong, but there is a path forward to making this a functional running game that they haven't really explored yet.
Yeah, I guess I don't think so. I think that this is 5-alarm fire. If I didn't think that they were going to be Notre Dame run offense or Oregon State offense. I didn't think that they were going to be able to do that today, but I thought that they would have a lot more success. I think John and I set the over-under around like 180 or something. They're not going to get 180 rushing yards. Like, I don't think that that's possible at all today.
No, they're not going to get 180. I don't think this is a team that's going to rush for 180 yards a game at any point in the season. That's not who they are. I think if they do it right, they can run the ball well enough to keep teams honest so that they can continue to rely on Dylan Raiola, but they're going to end up relying on Dylan to win games this year. That's just how it is. Is it how you'd like it to be? Probably not, but I think we're pretty clear that's how it is right now. I just don't think that means they're not capable of winning football games that way. That's where I think you and I differ. Like, I agree, the run game's concerning, it's a problem. I think they can win games the other way, though.
See, yeah, Sumanji says, well, Ravi is describing right now is a 4-8/5-7 team. And D'Lo adds, Ravi, if they can't run on Purdue, who can they run on? Yeah, like, man, normally you and I are in lockstep on things. I could not disagree with you more. They look like shit against Purdue. And Purdue is, in my opinion, a bottom 2, I'll be kind and say 3 team in the Big Ten Conference. So, like,
it's a bad team. It's a bad football team.
Like, dude, why would we expect them to beat Rutgers? Why would we expect them to beat Indiana? Why? Certainly, obviously, like, let's not even talk about Ohio State. Even UCLA, like, I thought that this was a total get-right game, and if they look like this in this game, no way that they're going to be able to do anything of semblance versus the rest of the schedule, sans UCLA. But there is no win, in my opinion, there is no winning path. This today, they do look like a 4-win football team or a 5-win football team at most.
Yeah, I just don't see that. Like, I understand the concerns about the running game for sure. I would like to see them tighten some things up in terms of like a discipline standpoint. honestly, if you're gonna tell me this is a 4 or 5 win football team, the thing that you can point to and make a case for me is the special teams. Like, I don't know the path forward there. I can see a path forward on offense where they can, because I get Purdue's bad, but they just put up 200 yards on offense without converting a first down and a half. Like, they're moving the ball. Are they going to have to convert some third downs to score? Absolutely. But third down conversion hasn't been a problem up to this point in the season. They're at almost 50% on the season.
It's been
on
horrible
third down
today.
conversions.
Yeah.
So it's been really bad today, but today does appear to be an outlier through the first 5 games.
Yeah, but again, it's against Purdue. Like, that's the thing. Like, this is a bad team. And how many first downs, Ravi, came on the penalties? Purdue 7 penalties for 90 yards in the first half. There's a lot of those on Purdue.
100%, but none of those get baked into total offense either. So if you want to bake those into total offense, they're at almost 300 yards of total offense for the first half. Like, there's a path forward offensively for them to be functional and to score points. I genuinely believe that. Is there a path forward to figure out the special teams for them to win enough games?
No.
I don't know.
Yeah,
like that's the one that you can get me on.
Yeah, we probably have about 10 minutes left for the second half starts. We have spent 10 minutes on the offense. Let's talk about special teams. I don't think there's really a whole lot to say about the defense. They're having a really nice rebound performance, and they're going to have to keep it up. Otherwise, Nebraska is going to lose this game. Special teams is a tire fire. Like, it is. I joked about it, I think, the second time that Nebraska got inside of the 30-yard line in the first half, Ravi, that it was punt territory. But what has unfolded now, like, it was one thing when it was just the kicker being bad. And I know we have talked a lot so far this season about the snapping issues have caused problems on field goals. This is a joke right now with what we are. Corey says that's offensive to tires. That's true. I apologize to tires. The entire operation on special teams on these field goals, horrible. Snaps are bad, blocking is bad, holds are bad, and then of course the kicking is bad. Everything has been bad. Everything has been bad.
You can't kick field goals anymore. Like, I don't know what else to say. You just can't kick. I don't care if it's 4th and 18 like it was on that one. I mean, I think they ended up punting on that one, but they kicked on a 4th and 12. I think you just got to go for it. If you don't want to punt the ball, you just have to go for it. You have a better chance on a 4th and 12 at this point than you do on a field goal of less than 30 yards. I mean, I don't think I'm overreacting to that.
Ravi, I don't think they should kick a field goal, period. And dare I say, if they score it, so, we have this little score thing here. 0-0 is obviously what the first half score is. And as Nebraska drove at the end of the first half, I started putting together other ones just in case. I made a 3-0 one. I made a 7-0 one. And then I realized, wait a second, I should probably make a 6-0 one. Now I never made an 8-0 one. But I'm serious,
I was gonna say, do they just go for 2 every time now? Like, do you even feel good about extra points?
You made the Oregon comparison. Dare I say, it's time to look like 2016 Oregon when you're just going for 2. Yeah. Now, they got to get in the end zone one of these times. I don't trust the kicking operation from literally no distance. Because, again, it was one thing when it's like, oh, you missed the 39-yarder because it goes left. And I know Lace is out, Dan. Yeah. I understand that. But Jordan says it in our Discord server. It's all mental. They are all in shambles. It has gone from the kicking to the whole kicking team.
The whole thing, whole operation.
And that is bad. And they haven't even, we'll see it at the start of the second half, Robbie, when they kick it off, because this will be the first kickoff for Nebraska. They haven't had to defend a kickoff yet. They've also not had to defend a punt yet, which, again, like, those are the areas where Nebraska has really struggled. So in a way, Foley is he's catching a lot of the criticism, and rightfully so, but he also hasn't had to catch the criticism yet today of returns, which at a certain point, Nebraska is not going to drive into the 40-yard line again.
So that's, and again, what you just said, though, is part of the reason, and I know I'm getting roasted in the chat, and that's fine. Like, is part of the reason I think
there's one person on your side. I-formation's on your side, so you got him at least.
I do think there's a path forward offensively for this to look fine, and they didn't punt in the first half. Now, they didn't score in the first half either, which is not ideal, right? But they didn't punt in the first half. They moved the ball consistently. And I get nobody cares about yards, right?
No, it's about points. Bo Pelini said it, Robbie. It's not about yards, ma'am. It's about points.
I understand that. But if you can consistently gain yards, the chances of you being able to score points are better over the course of a season. That's my point. I get in this particular game, nobody gives a shit about yards. And I don't either.
No.
But my point is, if you're looking at, hey, is there a path forward to this team being successful over the course of the season offensively? I definitely think there is, especially if they're willing to embrace non-traditional types of running, right? Because
by the way, they
been
have punted
successful
3 times. My God, I just have totally forgotten about these. Thank you to the people who are reminding us that they have punted 3 times. Yes, because they had the stupid ass one where it looked like they were going to be able to down it. Yeah. And then the other one where Ramir was turned the wrong way and the ball bounced into his arms, and he was like, "Where's the ball at?" Yes. Just situational lack of situational awareness.
Not great, right? So special teams, yeah, I have no answer for a path forward on that. But we've seen enough, I think, offensively to be like, hey, there's something there that can work. There's nothing there that can work on special teams. Like, it doesn't exist. I mean, honestly, Buschini's been pretty good. Like, he's put the ball in really good spots today. Mm-hmm. He had the one that trickled into the end zone, and then he had 2 inside the 10, basically, or between the 8 and 11 or whatever.
Yeah, they had the one that was dumb on the first one. The second one was fair caught, and that was a good one. And then the other one bounced in it, and it was a check swing, and that was down basically. That was a nice.
But they were all in 12 and under. Like, they were good punts from Buschini. That's the only thing that's been positive on special teams, and that's not the thing that gets you points. It can help you for sure, but special teams, I don't have any answers, man. Like, and obviously they don't either. That to me is as concerning. I mean, to me, it's far more concerning than the offense.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, it's little column A, little column B. Josh D'Lo continues to very much. He's upset, and shout out to Josh, because back in the offseason, he was one of the very consistent people that where, like, I didn't think the run game was going to be very good, and he didn't think the run game was going to be very good, but he also thought that's going to be horrible for the season. And he says, Ravi, what is the path forward with the running game? Ravi, what is the path forward with the running game?
I just spelled it out. Like, you have to start with non-traditional run game and with short passing game in substitution of running game. It's going to look a lot like I said, either like an Oregon offense and a little mix of probably the way the air raid offense is used for short yardage plays. And that's something that Nebraskans are deeply uncomfortable with, and I get that. But if you can stretch the field laterally, that should give you some ability to run in the middle of the field. Right now, they're trying to run in the middle of the field first and foremost, and they're not good enough to do that right now. I agree, and that's concerning. But they've only really tried the one thing, and the non-traditional running game has worked pretty consistently. You can't build an entire offense of that, but you can try and keep a defense honest with that. And that's not something they've really consistently tried to do at this point. To me, that's the path forward. I'm not saying it's 100% going to work, but there's a thing that logically makes sense to me that they haven't really tried yet. And that's what I'm describing.
Dave Fight says, I refuse to panic. So that makes, I think, 3 of you right now. So that's good.
See, and this, and Walter on YouTube, this is kind of what he says, GTFHO with the horizontal passes. I get that, but that's what you do when you can't run the ball. And they've been pretty good at that. They've been pretty good. They haven't done a ton of swing passes lately, but when they don't throw them to Fedoni, they've been pretty good at that. They've been really good at the pop passes. They've been really good at the non-traditional runs to Ja'Cory Barney. Like, they've been good at the things that can get you yardage in a run game or in a quasi run game when you can't just line up and beat people on the line of scrimmage, which they can't right now. Like, I agree. No. I'm not trying to convince you that they can run the ball up the middle, but that's not the only way to get short yardage run-like gains on offense.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the defense is able to do in the second half, because they have performed very well. I don't have let me pull up the box score real fast. The total number of first downs, I think it was 4. Yeah, just 4 for Purdue. They're 1 of 6 on third downs, only 89 total yards. Nebraska's defense, knock on wood that it continues to play that way, but they've done a good job. Couple things, Robbie, before we get out of here. No Block, No Rock tweeted out a photo of Ed Foley coaching the long snappers at the half while the band is on the field. So that's pretty funny that that's happening right now. Let's see. Furls, I'm panicking like crazy right now. Corny says, I'm not panicking, but Sat, please run it. Keep working on it. I would say in practice. Run it in practice. Let's not run it today.
Yeah, go get the win today. Like, go do the things that are working today and win.
Yeah, I would like to see, and I know we mentioned his name a couple of times a little bit earlier. I would love to see a little bit more of Emmett Johnson, but I've been asking for that for a few weeks, and it just, for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like that he's like the dude.
A crucial problem with the running game right now is Dowdell's running style and the way they're able to block don't match up at all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. Ben says, I need a chasing 3 to make me believe again. Feed me the propaganda. And Mark says, Whipple's offense would have been good for this year. He would have just chuck it deep over and over and over.
Nair's down there somewhere.
There's down there somewhere. All right. Well, that is I-80 Club at the half. We appreciate Rob. It looks like Robbie has to go, so we'll sign off because the first half is or halftime is coming to an end. Robbie, thank you for joining us for this tire fire of our first half.
I'm happy to be the sunshine pumper here.
All right, perfect. Reminder, Jack Mitchell and I, 6:30 tonight. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube page. We'll be back on at 6:30 tonight for 90 minutes recapping whatever the hell happens in the second half. Plus, we'll talk about the Georgia-Bama game and other stuff from the world of college football. For Ravi Lulla, I'm Josh Peterson. Enjoy. Try to enjoy the second half. We'll talk to you later.